Okay, so now we're on to the running board. So, cardboard pattern. I just basically cut a piece of cardboard out about 16 wide. I'm going to back up here. About 16 wide. 52 and a quarter, I think, was the dimension across. And then made a pattern. Okay. Now we can see some light there and there. I traced the pattern, but then you can see the remnants of the tape. I took tape, just a 3/4 inch wide roll of tape. My line was in, it ended early, it cut off of here. And so I followed my line, but I kept that tape straight. I kept it pulled taut, and you can see that I left the remnant of the tape on there, just so that I could assure myself that I was following my line as precisely as possible. Of course, I'm rolling it. I'm going to turn the edge over on there with the bead roller. I did order a turnover. It's kind of a cute 90-degree turnover. It's got a trough in it like that, and then a V. It's a 90-degree angle, and then a V in it. So I'll just introduce it into the piece to get my groove, and then keep working it down with some help. Sorry about the background noise. I got the TV on. In any event, I'll get that rolled over on that profile because it's a curve, right? And then as she starts to straighten out, those little gaps will pull, as that apron goes in. So doesn't look like much now, but we're getting there. All right, so doing a couple of things. Number one, I took my running board profile and I ran it across this side, ran it across that side, and on that side, maybe it's easier to do it this way, I had some choices to make. So on this side, see if I can, there. So there's a subtle, okay, along the profile, this subtly dips in and then radiuses down. And on the original, or the first one, I concentrated on going straight down, okay, so it doesn't radius in and then flop out. And that's okay, provided they're symmetrical. So you can see my line, and there's a black horizontal line, a hint of one there, and the arrow's roughly in the middle, but I need to radius this out a little bit. Now, as far as radiusing that out and changing the elevation, that's going to be kind of difficult because it's all bent right there. And that isn't a concern at all. But I need to bubble this just a little bit. What that'll do is it'll pull this in along this line just a little bit. So this sight line across the fender transitioning into the running board won't come out. I've been pushing on it. It sights pretty good, but there's my arrow, and right before there, see, it kind of goes like that, just a little bit. And when I touch that line, I guess I can do that. This is the other side profile. So when I touch that line, okay, whoops, just get this on there, kind of split the difference. So we can see when I touch that line, I've got a gap there and there. And now you can kind of see my intention. So that side's a little bubbled, and I like that look. I like that profile where it kind of tucks a little bit into there. because it sucks up this this transition and then gives it a little bit of a form. It looks more like a stamping, right? So I'll pull this side off now. At this point, pull this side off and continue to go back and forth and slide the cardboard in until I achieve that profile. Excuse me. Flipping it over and going to the other side. I don't have that piece of metal on here, but we can see that we're going, we're following this all the way down. This is hanging free. I did not put the flange on the end yet, and I don't want to put the flange on the end until I bolt up the running board. I don't have a choice here, right? It's bolted to the fender, but if there's any variation, minor variation, when I slice this, roll it, match that, define what the radius is on the rear fender and the transition, how it ties back into the rear fender. Once that's done and making that mirror image for the other side, then I will, just suck up the apron, and then I'll tack on a flange, tack on something that'll be a flange, take it off, TIG weld it on, and be done. So that's what I'm working on now. And of course you get to that point where you start marking it all out and you say, gee, to me Christmas, I could unbolt all this, take every one of these off. It's not difficult. It just, now I got to crawl around underneath and all that. So I said I needed a little bit of a break. So then I went to this, and we saw that I had the top on, and now I got the hole for the valve cover. Just starting the paper pattern so that I can begin to rough in the hood sides. I can see that this gap looks like it's a little, or this distance looks like it's a little greater than that. None of that matters. I just took a razor blade. I took a Sharpie with my straight edge, marked a line, measured down from the inside, put it on the outside, marked a line, took a razor and started cutting paper away. That's all I was doing. Looking for, no, it drifts out because the tape came off, because I'm taping the dusty material. But I'm not so worried about any of that right now, the paper and the tape not sticking. I'm just looking at my sight line's going to leave me a bit of a gap there. Not a big deal. I'm going to cover. No gaps here, but guess I knew that. Right along here, this bead will likely, I think I'm just going to go to 0. Like a spear, more of a spear look than anything else. I'm not going to transition it all the way up. At this point, of course, my mind may change, but actually, where I'm headed with it is that then I'll decide what I want to do here. And your comments would be very helpful on this. But my theory is that this is too much material on this side, too thin on that side. It does show the valve cover. Of course, if I clean that up into more of an oval and all that, it would be kind of cool. It sights kind of cool from the back. Hey, there's an engine sticking out of the hood. From that perspective, from the front perspective, it looks okay. Looks like there's a big, the ability for wind to go in and do what? Keep things cool, I guess. But you start looking in here, of course, this will all be finished out and all that. When I pull the body back off, I'm going to finish out the firewall. But I just have a trouble with different views, because a hole encourages people to, come in here and look, and it looks nice, it looks good, it looks clean, but it's just a big gap right here because of the angle of the hood and all that. So anyway, those are just thoughts, random thoughts blowing through my mind. I kind of like that look, but your ideas. Should I scoop it? Should there be some sort of a scoop on there that transitions it down, that's a little more decorative, maybe ribbed, maybe chrome stripes? whatever color, I don't know if I'm going to de-chrome or, go with a matte Cerakote type look or something like that. I don't know. But your thoughts would be appreciated because you can clearly tie in a scoop, do a really nice transition because that's behind the, you could even flare it like this. There's a lot of things you can do. But if you got comments, share them. Hi, y'all. Just wanted to let you know that I pulled both aprons off. I cut a cardboard profile. I pulled them till they touch the profile. Rolled them and moved them and did everything I could to get them in. And I did, and I got them in. The radius is a lot more gentle now. It's a lot more gentle. But it's equivalent on both sides. You can see a mark there where I was moving this side in and out. Wanted to come farther out to match the other side. No, that was an original. That was where I was, and I had to flatten it. Yeah, I had to flatten it to get to the other side. So this side had to go that way. The other side had to go this way in this area. So I took out the flat spots, and I'm just in the process of getting this on. In this case, I drilled the holes in the just stacked washers in the front bar to get the fender position correct, the height off of it. What I'm using for that is a couple of pieces of 10 gauge, and then that larger piece is pushing down in the fender as I clamp it to the bar. So the two of those combined, there's two 10s. What is that? 130. So 260, right? 260, a little better than 1/4 of an inch. That's what I'm using, and then I'll do a stack up. Probably build a 7 gauge frame, something like that. That'll give me the rigidity. Something that'll give me the rigidity. It will space up the running board, but I want to get that. It'll be bonded, whether it's welded or panel bonded to the bottom of the running board, because the running board is going to be 18 gauge, and that's right here. So I'm fixing a guy's tractor for him. And in return, I wanted the front profile of that fender formed into this. So he did that for me. I'm finishing that. And at this point, I'm mocking up the aprons, and then we'll begin drawing on the running board. And the method that I'm going to use involves this cardboard template. So once I get both sides bolted on, I'm going to mark the fender and the cardboard at the location of the fit, the best fit. And then all I'll have to do is draw that line on to the passenger side running board panel. Okay? And then that line will represent where I start to roll it over. And because it's not a straight line, you can't do it in a break. So I'm going to roll. I purchased a die, a tip over die. Well, I have a tip over die, but I purchased a hemming die that goes up to a 90-degree bend. Of course, you could push it and probably get a little tighter. But that hemming die is going to allow me to get a nice, precise curvilinear line, I guess would be the appropriate word. And of course I'll trim it, so I'm only folding over an inch and 1/4, something like that. And then as that line starts moving down, it's going to pucker, because this is a curvilinear line. It's going to pucker in spots trying to make that distance up, so I'll shrink it as I go, and then just keep rolling it and rolling it and rolling it, following that same line. Do that for both sides. I'll start back an inch to 1.25 inches so that I can cut that profile into the running board. I'll have to cut this side off, roll that back, and bend, and that of course I can do in my 20-inch brake on the press over there. Bend this side. That side will have to follow the fender a little bit, so that one will have to be rolled in and hammered and dollied. That side will be the one that has the most handwork done on it, but that side being the rear fender side. We're talking about the running board on the passenger side of the vehicle. So we're starting to get back into it, and we are making good progress. Wow. What the Sam. So there's my bead roller. You can see the screws here, the wood frame, and I'm pinching it in there. So now the whole mess is all tied together. Kind of hard to see, but if I shake, I'm blocked in so that if there's any minor movement in the table, that it's translated through the roller. You've seen that in prior videos. That's my roll around stand. You've seen that in prior videos. Probably haven't seen all that. But what I basically did is just took and made a long table because I'm getting ready to roll the beads in here. So I've got it marked out to where the running board will be, and I'm going to pull 4 beads. On the piece. This is the side that I'm pushing on, so my dies are bead up, and then the trough is down, and I'll roll it across. I'm going to make a backstop that I can adjust to accommodate this. So everything is dimensioned. This was broke off of this is the backstop on the brake when this was rolled or bent. So I'm using this as my alignment for the beads. I measured off of that. Everything looks nice and straight relative to the edge. And I'm going to do this on both of them, and then I can proceed in cutting out. This here is the flange. It'll roll down. This will be cut out straight across. This will be flattened. It'll become the end of this. This is the flange for bolting on to the apron, which we can't see, and the other flange down low. I started on the wide side. This is the narrow side, so this is all waste. So that's what we got doing. I copy this in the mirror image on the other running board, which is sitting right there, and we will begin rolling the beads. All right, so you can see that I've put a fence on. I'm just anchoring it to the 2x4s underneath. I'm just off to the side because I didn't want to get into a hole and have it interrupted. So that's for the second bead. And basically we're rolling one panel, then the other panel, and then the longer, we're ready, setting up for the 2 beads. This edge is running against the fence, and when we take a side view, we can see the puckers in the panel there, and there. That's because it rolls to the edge of the wheel, so these need to be dressed. And we'll do that. I'll either use a washer or something that spans that channel, which is approximately 9/16 of an inch. A piece of pipe cut in half, anything to translate that impression around. I'll have to do that afterwards. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but that's puckered too, and she's a little bit wavy, and there's some chase marks where it begins to fold up. So all those will need to get dollied out. That's not a big deal. A lot of guys run this through the wheel, and I could have done that, I guess, just to take a lot of the stress out. But I'll probably just, because of my pitch, my distance is 2 inches, I can run this through the wheel anyway. Just carefully massage those in between each one of these ribs when they're all on. So they turned out really good. Using the fence was a success. When I first looked at them, I thought they looked a little distorted, but the distortion is the wave, which is hard to see on here, but the wave in the sheet metal from stretching. Well, here, if you look down that side, maybe go this way. There, you can see it waving. See, and then so I'll take all that stress out of the metal, and of course I'll then cut the side that I'm riding against the fence when I get ready to roll the profile in that edge. So it's going well. All right. So you saw us struggle through the panel, and what was happening was we were coming off the backstop on the first roll, and this is the second sheet. This is the sheet that it was coming off the roll on. I'm going to lift it up here. Excuse me. But we did four passes. And now you have to disregard the fact that there's panel warp because each of these have to be dressed still. Okay, this sheet I dressed the first. I dressed that one and that one, and we just rolled these. But this one, we just seemed to struggle on that fourth bead, but after you get that first pass down, you don't go that deep, and the V isn't very deep, so you can always do a correction. And so they really came out nice. I mean, they came out beautiful. So I wanted to show us rolling it out. I wanted to show it on the long runs because those are, of course, clearly the ones that if you screw them up, you're going to see that waviness. But these turned out really good. I'm very, very happy. In fact, I think I can find right here. So you can see on here the double line there and there. There's the original line. As we were coming down on it, this was drifting, and now we got it nice and tight and straight, and the die pushed out most of the pucker. So now just a little bit of dolly. Once I get the metal straightened out, I got to get the curve out of it. Right? There's just a lot of stress in this area because of all these and this stop, and they're forcing that curve in the sheet. There's just stress in there. So I'll dolly them down, get that stress out of it, and then we got to roll over. Got to come an inch and a quarter out, draw the line, and this one we'll have to do by hand. and that's that radius, and roll that over. And then we'll cut them off, size them, and get them put on. So all is going very, very well. Very pleased with the results so far. Again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Please share it with your friends. I love the comments. Keep them coming. Well, what I've got so far is trimmed them. 1.25 inches out. This will be rolled over. This will be trimmed. So it'll be 2 inches and then the end of the running board. I'm not going to trim this until I test them because it might be 2 1/16, 1 7/8, whatever. I wheeled them, so they're not perfectly flat yet. They're getting there. And I got a little crown on. I got a little taper on the top and a little radius up there. I'm not overly concerned about it. I'll wheel it and get it as flat as I can. But right here is where this bend, this break will go, and it'll stiffen it up and straighten it out. I did sand this one just to kind of try to get a look at how well the, if I'm making wheel marks, you can see some wheel marks in here. These I can very slightly feel. These I cannot feel. Just the way the lighting's coming in the door. I'm out in the corner here, out in the side there. But the beads are straight, they look good. But I realized something here. These beads went up to here. And I had to dolly that all back down, which stretched this and certainly caused, I've been wheeling it, but some crown on there too, because I'm pushing on the metal. I got some lines, from the die for rolling the bead, but I had to cut this back because I forgot on my layout. Let me just get it flipped over. I had this line, and I failed to make my line 2 inches in for the stop of the wheel. Just didn't even think about it. And this is the one that we were kind of struggling with. It would get caught underneath the wood here, because as it started to deform a little bit from all the bead rolling. But I saved it. I saved the panel. And then sanded it all down. Wheeled it and sanded it all down. But they look really good. They are going to work out. They're going to work out just fine. They're going to work out better than fine. They're really turning out nice. So basically, I'm going to continue to try to get them as flat as I can get them. See right there, you can just see it right there. See? A little bit of a crown. This one, these are coming out real nice. You can see some areas where I stopped. Just feel them a little bit. Of course, that's being bent right here too, but I want to get it as flat as I can. Flat as I can before we move on to the die. It's a hem die that we're going to use to turn this over and bend it down 90 degrees. So this one actually cleaned up really, really well. There's a little bit of a pucker right there. But this one cleaned up good. And I'll keep working on this one. I'll get this a little bit straighter. Just get it as flat as I can. So there are the running boards. About halfway done. Okay, so take a look at that edge now. Get the dirt off of it. Nice round ball end. Nice round ball end. So I took a washer, I don't know, 1/8 inch thick washer, and I cut it just off center. And then if you look, see, I just slid it so that this end was a little inside. I can get my fingernail on it, just a little bit inside of the other end. So I can work on tapping around that washer. If I want to tighten it up, I can tighten it up. If I want to just get into a corner, then I can just get into a corner and just address it. This happens to be 9/16 across. Try to get a picture of it. Where I'm looking at where the die, the bottom die was going in on it. Right there, you can get a pretty good profile right there, 9/16 across. Okay? And as you remember, all washers are, this is a 1/2-inch bolt washer, but they're always one size over, so this is a 9/16 opening. So that's what I used. That's what I used to tighten that thing up. So those are done. These need to be done. See, that's just where the end of the die was. We go from that to that, with that and that. Okay, now I still have some bow. I did dolly across this just a little bit just to get it down. I want to roll the other two. But my English wheel, large, the top die, the big wheel, fits right in this channel. So I'll slowly push this back to take the stress out of it. Hey, it's Fred with all kinds of classics. We're here at the shop and just landed another project. It's a customer job. This one will be a 55 Crown Victoria in the trailer. Looked at it. At this point, it's still locked up. The keys are in the truck, and I'm wrapping for the day. But I just brought it home, brought the owner and the painter over, and wanted to show them some of the stuff that I do, some of the capabilities, that kind of thing. So in the next few videos, we'll take a look at what's behind these tin walls.